What has Rickard Gustafsson left for you to do internally that you can control, rather than all the other factors that you can't control? Good morning, sir.
Good morning, and thank you, and good to be here. Look, I think first of all, let's recognise the positive highlights from this quarter, right? I mean, first of all, a doubling of capacity versus previous quarter, 140% increase in demand. I've heard you speak earlier about travelling and the challenges, right, that still surround travel for the time being. But I think it shows that there is that underlying demand, right? Just as you said that you want to go to Italy again and want to travel and want to take your colleagues with you, we do think that we're seeing that, right? There's underlying demand. For us, most positive one that we've seen this quarter is that positive cash flow from operations for the first time since the start of the pandemic. So there is an underlying demand. On the back of good sales, you do see the increased numbers, and then certainly the cost focus and the cash focus that we've had over the summer led to these good results.
Ms. Anko, I want to go to Sweden. I'll tell you now, I've got friends on the East Coast and I've got family on the West Coast, and it is debatable whether I can even get into the...
And one of the reasons
it's debatable, though,
take
sir.
This position, if you look at how beautiful Scandinavia is, really, right? I mean, you've been here, obviously, then, right? It is, I think, one of those, well, hardly visited places in the world where people typically go south.
I can't get in. That's the problem. If I went to the East Coast, if I went to Stockholm now, I would get turned away at Heathrow Customs and they would say, no, because you're not visiting family. Even though I'm double jabbed, I've got PCR tests coming out of my veins left, right and centre, I can't get into your country. The rules have just changed, as you know, from the 31st of August to the 31st of October now. It's impossible for us to get in. What on earth is going on when fully jabbed people who are COVID negative can't get in?
Yeah, you're taking the words out of my mouth, right? I mean, you don't have to talk to any airline CEO at the moment, I think, that wouldn't agree with you, right? So we fully agree. Look, there has to come an end to all of this, right? I mean, we were the first industry to go into this pandemic, and the way it's spending, right, we'll be the last ones out. You see, again, the United States and Europe toughening up their stances against each other, so not allowing people to come in. We had a sizable U.S. network pre-pandemic, and again, it's the same thing, right? You do see the pent-up demand, you do see the underlying demand, just as people would be allowed to travel.
Anko, I want to pick up on that point. You had encouraging signs over summer, but what does winter look like at this point?
Yeah, it's too early to tell in many ways, right? I mean, we have traditionally, of course, been a very business-focused airline, and that is really now the inflection point, right? We turn from summer to fall to autumn and see what that really does for us. Very short booking windows, so still too early to tell. We can see that rebound in SME traffic. There's still some lag in corporate traffic, even though those numbers are also increasing. But it's really just an open question mark on where will that end up. Yeah,
we're debating this week whether we could pull off a ski trip this winter. But Anko, I want to ask you too about new routes, because you've got a line in the report today about a greater number of leisure travellers and also more intense competition in future. We've seen from Ryanair this week that they've launched new routes. What is the leisure traveller going to be looking for in the next phase?
Yeah, well, first of all, clarity, right, as we've discussed and as you pointed out yourselves, right? I mean, that clarity is still the number one thing holding people back, right? Again, in July, we transported 1 million people, which is far greater than what we saw in the previous months, but it's still a far cry as well from the 2.6 that we transported in July 2019, for instance, right? So, one, clarity, and two, I think it's that ease of doing business, right? And there you see us already being a very digital airline. We will expand around that, right? Effortless, almost touchless, right? The cleanliness and the safety, of course, that go hand in hand with the SAS and with the Scandinavian brands as a whole. That's what people are looking for primarily at this moment.